and welcome to January 29th Trips and Traps. Andy Serling, joined by Richard Migliore.
Well, glad to be here. We've had some weather we've had to deal with, but we've got a couple of interesting races to look at, and I think maybe a race or two we might disagree about.
Yeah, I think we have some trips, and I think we have some traps, and looking forward to talking about them. But as Richie's alluded to, we had an abbreviated week last week. We were only going to be 4 days anyway. We lost Saturday. But we're going to start out with a sort of universal trip, and this is a good discussion of a trip with Horatio being wide versus a horse, the favorite, Brennan G., who got into a world of trouble.
Yeah, and it's an interesting thing. Now, obviously, Horatio...
There's Brennan G. with the Rapoli silks. Sorry,
yeah.
Horatio on the outside.
Right, and the horse in the green outside, Horatio, kind of dealt a bad hand with his post. But when you have that post, you have to go in with a plan, Andy, and you've got to figure out what you're going to do. Don't allow yourself just to stay out there because you can't win this way.
No, that's exactly the way I felt. If he's going to drop back to last, drop back. If you're going to go forward, go forward. Do one or the other, and he did neither, and it ended up getting stuck and victimized by his post. I thought this was just a very unlucky ride for Manny Franco and Brennan G.
Yeah, I mean, he's riding the inner track the way you're supposed to. You're supposed to save ground. Now, you can see there was enough separation where Andre Warrior and Horatio had taken back just another length. He could have ducked in and gotten in behind the two-horse here, and then he would have had to work out a trip, but at least he would have given himself an opportunity. Brennan G, you see it right here, it looks like he's all dressed up with no place to go.
Yeah, I mean, he's just completely blocked. When you're in this situation, Richie, isn't patience the key?
Absolutely. The patience factor right now would have played a big role. He tries to head to a spot right here, which is never going to work out. Even if he gets in there, what happens to the horse inside of him? He has a responsibility to that rider, and I was worried for a second that Manny Franco might even get himself dropped.
Yeah, no, the guy's got very, very tight. Here's my concern with him, Richie, and I know he's a little intimidated. He doesn't seem to have any real acceleration towards the end of the race, and maybe he's a cheaper horse that got in some trouble. He got intimidated and he gave up, but I would have liked to see him come a little more, especially considering he was favored in here, and next time he runs, everybody's going to be talking about him. He's going to get overbet.
Well, it was an obvious trip when you have that much trouble. And I would agree with you at a certain point that, yeah, you would like to see a little more finish out of him then. But cheaper horses like this, when they have run on their mind, you kind of need to be able to go forward. And when he didn't, I think the horse got discouraged. And frankly, I think Manny Franco got discouraged at that point. He rode him when he got clear, but not with that same kind of ferocity that you would have expected if he got clear sooner.
Oh, absolutely, fair enough. You know, I think it's a question of price. And maybe with this horse, you've got to sort of just draw a line through this race because you give him a legitimate excuse.
Sure.
And then you judge him on the races before it. The problem I have is maybe he goes in a race, and if you do that, he's supposed to be 2-1, and he ends up 4-5 because everybody saw the trouble. And obviously, you're not thinking of it from the same gambling aspect. I'm thinking of it.
Sure.
But I feel as though these are the kind of horses. We saw one at Florida, Dr. No, on Saturday. They have some trouble, and everybody overrates it.
Well, and again, when it's that obvious, and of course he's going to be bet off the board, I think Horatio is going to get better value if he gets a better post.
That's exactly the way I feel. A rider change, a better post, and Horatio is a horse that has a race in him, and he had no shot the way the race was run. And it's a less obvious kind of trip, but he too had trouble. We'll talk about some more of those later, and we'll talk about some of those kind of trips as we go to our fourth race from January 23rd. And we want to first talk about the 4, the eventual second-place finisher, Sure to Party, who has some real trouble at the start, Richie.
Yeah, he really does. He loses his footing. You're going to see he's going to get bobbled, and then he's going to kind of get carried out over heels. Took a while for the horse inside him to get straightened out. I thought he ran really well to be second. Now, again, nobody's beaten the winner on this day, but he ran well.
He did. The problem I have is the winner won by 10-plus lengths, and it wasn't even that fast a race. So I don't know how good these horses are behind him, but I agree. The 4 was compromised badly by the start. He's all the way back here. You've got Boldly, the 5 here, and the 10, the eventual fourth-place finisher, File for Divorce, might have been the horse that had the most trouble of all, because this horse who attacked the pace 4 wide never saved any ground, similar to a situation that we saw in the last race for Horatio, and he was fighting it out until mid-stretch.
But the interesting thing is, and I agree, he had a very tough trip. At least Ruben Silveira was trying to make a decision and do something. And maybe, I'm sure in his mind, if he can go forward, maybe he forces the horse that's third right now, steadying along. Maybe he can get his position. Unfortunately, he never could, and he was forced wide the entire way.
No, I think that's very fair. I mean, listen, it's easy to jump on these riders, But, you know, sometimes it's like he has an outside post, and you're right. He's trying to make something happen, and everything wrong that could happen happens in front of him. I just think the horse ran pretty well with that trip. You see the 2 staying a little back, but he had no horse. The 4 is circling 3 wide. He ran well for second. Bold Lee on the rail will get in trouble.
Yeah, he's going to get in trouble when the horse we're talking about, File for Divorce, lugs in. And he was lugging in. And I think Angel Cruz actually anticipated him to come over all the way. And you're going to see Ruben Silvera. He's going to react and
we'll show the head on.
You know, and you're going to really see it then. He's even going to like check himself a little bit there and pull off. He never actually did come over, but speaking from experience, when you're on the fence and you see a horse coming that way, you can't take it for granted he's not going to continue to come.
Oh, absolutely, right. You got to be concerned you're going to get dropped at that point. And he lost all of his momentum in there, and I think it made the 4's run. Now, he's down on the inside. The 10's out here. He loses all his momentum. The 4 has that good, clean run on the outside. I know that Bold Lee would have sucked up for second along the inside, but he probably is going to be second and be considerably closer if he didn't get jammed up.
I agree with that. And he might have even started his own problem when he came out at first.
Right.
I think Angel Cruz was looking to get out off the fence. Then that option got closed, and then it looked like he was going to get shut off. And maybe he overacted just a touch, but again, it's easy to say sitting here.
He's also a 5-pound apprentice rider who is way ahead of the curve for a kid with the experience that he has, but that doesn't mean that he's not going to make mistakes. And
Absolutely.
Maybe he looks at this one and he goes, I wish I had done it differently. Obviously, he also got a little unlucky because the 10 came from the 5 path all the way over.
Sure.
It's tough to anticipate that. But listen, you know, you live and learn.
Yeah, and you could see he probably hollered at Ruben Silvera, and to his credit, he really made the effort and pulled off of him. But that's, like you said, a 5-pound apprentice who's very talented, but he hasn't seen that situation as much as a guy who's ridden, let's say, 10,000 races.
Right. It's absolutely, it was a question of inexperience and a lot of bad luck, to be honest. It's not as though he put himself in a position where he was looking for trouble. Trouble found him in this spot.
Absolutely.
We'll go on to the 8th race on January 25th. This was Sunday. I thought this was a remarkable race because the winner, who got a terrific ride from Angel Arroyo, went the day well. Might have been 4th best. Stumbles a little there at the start, but man, did a lot of horses have bad trips. One of them is this horse who finished 5th, Wild Night at the Opera. The one we really want to talk about is Royal Posse. And then poor Israel Rodriguez here on Testosterone. He just gets unlucky.
He gets very unlucky. Again, post positions, inner track, they play a huge role into this. The interesting thing is Went the Daywell comes from behind, and even with that bobble at the break, Angel Arroyo popped him on the shoulder trying to get his position going forward when other guys had cleaner breaks and didn't take any initiative.
This one, and I think that Junior Alvarado has been riding very well, and I'm not looking to pick on him, but I think this is one, if he had to do over again, he would have had to have a different plan. I think it's something that you and I talk about quite a bit, making a decision before the race is run. Royal Posse, his horse, who was one of the favorites, if not the favorite, is a potential speed, yet he snatched him coming out of the gate. You got to move forward, because if he moves forward and the 2 continues on, he puts separation, but he puts himself in a good spot behind on the 2 path. But by not going forward, the entire race bunched up, Richie.
Well, and now he basically has decisions made for him. As Testosterone moves up outside of him here, instead of going forward to hold his position, now he's going to get kind of pushed down in behind horses into the pocket. And, of course, we see Alkalite on the outside of him, who basically, as good as Jose Ortiz has been riding, he did not make any decisions yet.
No, he doesn't. This is just, it sounds like everybody was a little bit passive except for Israel Rodriguez. I think that Irad was kind of unlucky. I think that was Irad on Deceived, who got caught wide. Wild Night at the Opera, the one, as you can see. I mean, Manny Franco is getting completely and totally taken out of the race.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and he got shuffled back out of position. At least he was able to get in behind the leader, the 3-horse there, or 5-horse, excuse me, and follow him out. But now he had shuffled back. He's going to have to alter course to the outside, and he finishes best of all. The interesting thing to me is there were several trips in here, some subtle, some not so subtle. Who do you like out of the race?
Well, actually, I think that Royal Posse is the best horse, so with an aggressive ride, even if he's not the absolute speed, I could give him another chance if I knew he was going to be more forwardly placed. But I think Testosterone ran the best race of anybody because he was the one who was forced to chase 4 wide the whole way around the track.
And what about Wild Night at the Opera, who did finish with that interest we want to see?
I'm not against him. I'm not exactly sure what to do with him. He might need some more pace, and I think, you know, going back to what we talked about earlier, Richie, he was badly victimized by the fact that they didn't move forward early. Because even if you watch him from the break, it looks like he's looking to settle back, but they slowed it up so much that he drifted into that tough position in the pocket, and it was the slow pace that put him in the spot that he was in.
Well, I think it underscores the fact that when you have a slow pace and guys don't go forward, the field bunches up, it's going to take options away. You have to be aggressive at least to give yourself opportunities.
And the funny thing is, you can say, well, if they're aggressive, it's going to hurt the speeds. No. Royal Posse would have been in a much better position if he had just been a little bit more aggressive, because he would have found himself stalking and had gone a little bit faster early, but he would have been in a comfortable spot. And as you like to say, he probably would have been liking the way he was going as opposed to going fast.
Yeah, well, that's it. It's not how fast you're going. It's how you're going fast. And a horse gets comfortable in a rhythm. And when the field spreads out, it gives you the opportunity to get comfortable.
Right, and because they didn't, they all bunched up, and a lot of them got in trouble. And the winner got a great ride, and he just got the best ride and the best trip. We can always use your help. It's Trips and Traps at NYRAINC.com.